Seniors, just one daily habit to restore muscle strength like you're 40 again. The shocking truth about aging muscles. Did you know that by the time you turn 80, you could lose up to half of your muscle strength? It may sound unbelievable, but it's a shocking reality for over 60 million seniors worldwide. Muscle loss, also known as sarcopenia, is quietly stripping away the independence of millions of people. Every year, more than 380,000 older adults end up in the hospital due to falls, many of which are directly caused by muscle weakness. But here's the truth. Muscle loss is not inevitable as we age. While many people in their 70s struggle with basic tasks like climbing stairs or getting up from a chair without assistance, there is a remarkable group of seniors, super-agers, who continue to maintain muscle strength and energy comparable to people much younger than them. They keep hiking, playing sports, and live completely independently well into their 90s. So what's their secret? Researchers at the UCSF Aging Research Institute have discovered a series of simple but powerful habits that can slow down or even reverse muscle loss caused by aging. And here's the real shocker. 91% of older adults have never heard of these strategies, despite their potential to dramatically improve your life. Worse still, many healthcare providers still offer outdated advice that directly contradicts the latest science on maintaining muscle strength as we age. Stick with us until the end, because the fifth habit we're about to reveal might be something you're unknowingly mismanaging every single day. And it's a common mistake that triggers genetic pathways, leading to more muscle deterioration. Fixing this habit could determine whether you thrive with independence as you get older or find yourself relying on others. Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Now, let's begin our journey to healthier, stronger muscles. Habit 1. Hormetic stress. Rebuilding through gentle stressors is increasingly becoming a timeless key to healthy aging, helping individuals aged 65 to 80 restore bodily functions, enhance muscle strength, and naturally extend their lifespan. Unlike harmful types of stress, hormetic stress refers to brief, controlled challenges, such as cold exposure, heat, intermittent fasting, or short bursts of high-intensity activity, that trigger the body's defensive responses, ultimately improving overall health. According to research from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging in California, short exposures to these stressors, whether thermal or nutritional, can activate cellular repair processes, boost mitochondrial growth, and stimulate the production of heat shock proteins, which play a vital role in protecting muscle tissue and reducing inflammation inside cells, especially in older adults. For instance, just 30 to 60 seconds of cold showers each morning can stimulate the release of adiponectin, a hormone that protects muscle, and activate brown fat, which helps generate heat and rev up metabolism. Similarly, sauna bathing 3 to 5 times a week has been shown in a Finnish study to reduce age-related muscle loss by up to 40% over more than a decade. In addition, intermittent fasting for 14 to 16 hours per day not only activates autophagy, the body's cellular cleanup mechanism, but also improves mitochondrial function in muscle tissue by up to 10% within just 12 weeks, according to findings from the Salk Institute in the US. And it's precisely in that balance between gentle challenge and stimulation that the body, especially after the age of 60, awakens its deepest capacity for self-healing. Short but intense muscle contractions, such as isometric exercises, pushing or pulling against an immovable object for 5 to 10 seconds, are referred to by scientists as a natural longevity gene therapy. A study from McMaster University in Canada found that just 4 short sets of isometric holds per day over the course of 3 weeks can activate the FOXO3 and SIRT1 genes, which are key regulators in preserving muscle mass, improving antioxidant capacity, and slowing the degeneration of skeletal muscle. Many older adults shy away from intense movement. But the truth is, hormetic stress doesn't require heavy lifting or long durations. What matters is brief intensity, applied strategically with adequate recovery. For example, you can start by contracting your thigh muscles for 6 seconds when standing up from a chair, or holding a static wall push for 10 seconds. These seemingly small actions send strong signals to your muscle cells, urging them to maintain their size, strength, and function. When practiced correctly, these types of hormetic stressors don't just resist aging, they actually train your genes to respond more intelligently to internal damage. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle. Just a few minutes of intentional effort each day can open a new door to vibrant health and lasting resilience, even well into your 80s or 90s. Habit 2. Protein timing and the anabolic timing. Your protein intake may seem like a small detail, but for older adults, it can make the difference between muscle loss and muscle gain. As we age, our bodies naturally face a phenomenon called anabolic resistance, a reduced ability to build muscle in response to protein intake. This doesn't mean seniors can't gain strength. It simply means the timing, quality, and consistency of protein consumption become far more critical than ever before. One of the most important steps in muscle preservation for older adults is the anabolic window, the short period after exercise or during the early part of the day when your muscles are most responsive to protein. According to a Texas A&M University study, when seniors consumed at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein within 60 minutes after exercise or in the morning, their bodies showed significantly higher muscle protein synthesis rates compared to when protein was delayed or spread too thin throughout the day. But science is only half the story. Margaret, a 74-year-old grandmother from Austin, Texas, had never touched a dumbbell in her life. After a fall that fractured her wrist, her doctor didn't prescribe her more calcium or supplements. He prescribed meal timing. By simply adjusting her daily eating schedule, starting her day with a protein-rich breakfast of eggs and Greek yogurt and consuming another 25 to 30 grams of protein within an hour of her afternoon walk, Margaret saw her energy return, her balance improve, and most surprisingly, her strength grow. Within 3 months, she could lift her groceries without help and walk upstairs without holding the rail. What makes this habit so powerful isn't just the science, it's the simplicity and accessibility. No gym membership required, no fancy shakes or supplements, just real food at the right time. Eggs, lentils, tofu, chicken breast, cottage cheese, foods that are already in your kitchen, can become your most powerful medicine when taken at the right moment. So what can you do starting today? Begin your day with protein. Instead of skipping breakfast or having just toast, aim for 20 to 30 grams of complete protein as your first meal. And if you take an afternoon walk or do light housework, follow it up with a second protein-rich meal. Even simple movements, when paired with smart nutrition, can flip the switch on your body's anabolic response. Habit 3. The vitamin D connection. Sunlight and strength. Morning sunlight isn't just the start of a new day. For older adults, it's a quiet key to unlocking strength. Vitamin D, often called the sunshine vitamin, plays a critical role in maintaining muscle strength, cellular energy, and mobility, especially after the age of 60. As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D from sunlight, leading to what doctors call a silent deficiency that directly affects our quality of life. A study from the University of Birmingham found that vitamin D helps activate specific genes responsible for muscle cell growth and mitochondrial energy production, the exact systems we rely on for endurance, coordination, and independence. Yet more than 70% of older adults in North America are vitamin D deficient, meaning their muscles are less responsive to movement and nutrition, even with a healthy diet. But vitamin D doesn't work alone. It needs a partner. Vitamin K2, which helps guide calcium into the right places, your bones and muscle fibers, while preventing it from accumulating in soft tissue or blood vessels. Without K2, even well-meaning vitamin D supplementation may fall short. Joan, a 68-year-old retired nurse from Oregon, struggled for nearly 2 years with unexplained muscle fatigue, joint stiffness, and chronic exhaustion. She walked every day, ate well, and still felt like her legs were made of lead. Everything changed when a blood test revealed her vitamin D levels were dangerously low. For the next 10 weeks, Joan committed to 15 minutes of morning sun exposure, plus a daily supplement of 2,000 IU vitamin D3 and a small dose of K2. It was like my body finally remembered how to move again, she said. Her aches faded, her energy returned, and for the first time in years, she climbed the stairs without using the rail. What's remarkable is how simple this habit can be. No expensive treatments, no special equipment. Just a moment of sunshine, a little nutritional awareness, and the courage to try something natural. It's a gentle, biological awakening that's available to anyone. So how do you begin? Step outside between 7 and 9 a.m. and let the morning light touch your skin. Just 15 to 20 minutes can be enough. If you live in a cloudy climate, or if you have darker skin that produces less vitamin D from sunlight, talk to your doctor about adding vitamin D3 and K2 to your routine. Pair this with light movement, walking, stretching, or gardening to help your muscles respond to the hormonal support. Your body was designed to heal, to grow, to stay strong, but only if you give it the signals it needs. With just a little sunlight, the right nutrients, and gentle movement, you can awaken strength, vitality, and resilience at any age. Habit 4. Inflammaging, the hidden threat that destroys muscles. As we age, there's a silent threat that slowly builds up inside us: chronic low-grade inflammation, or inflammaging. While inflammation is a natural defense mechanism meant to protect us from injury or infection, as we get older, it can become a persistent low-level process that never truly shuts off. This chronic inflammation not only contributes to joint pain, fatigue, and heart disease, but it also plays a significant role in the loss of muscle mass, which is crucial for maintaining strength and independence as we age. The mechanism behind this silent threat begins in the gut. Recent research from University of California shows that changes in gut bacteria related to aging directly influence systemic inflammation. An unhealthy gut can send signals of inflammation throughout the body, which in turn impairs muscle repair and slows down recovery after exercise. This means that muscle cells break down faster than they can rebuild, making muscle loss inevitable unless action is taken. At the same time, poor sleep exacerbates inflammation. Lack of sleep can cause inflammatory cells to increase by up to 40%, directly contributing to the breakdown of muscle tissue. But the good news is, inflammation can be controlled, and by following the right strategies, we can reduce its harmful effects on our muscles and overall health. Meet the Smith family from Portland, Oregon. After years of seeing their mother, Grace, struggle with chronic fatigue and muscle weakness, the family decided to make a change. Grace, 70 years old, had been suffering from inflammation-related conditions like joint pain and severe muscle loss. Her doctor's advice was simple: combat inflammation with targeted nutrition and better sleep habits. Grace's children helped her overhaul her diet by removing processed sugars and adding anti-inflammatory foods. They began to introduce more omega-3 rich foods like fatty fish, flax seeds, and walnuts, while adding curcumin from turmeric and polyphenol-rich foods like berries, green tea, and extra virgin olive oil. Additionally, they focused on gut health by adding fermented foods such as yogurt, kimchi, and kefir. They also made sleep a priority, ensuring Grace got 7-8 hours of undisturbed sleep each night in a completely dark, quiet room. In just 3 months, Grace noticed a dramatic improvement. Her joint pain decreased, her muscle strength returned, and she felt more energized. She could walk without pain, lift groceries, and even play with her grandchildren without feeling exhausted. What changed wasn't just the food, but a holistic approach to lifestyle, focusing on diet, sleep, and stress management. How can you apply this to your own life? Start by focusing on anti-inflammatory foods. Incorporate fatty fish like salmon, olive oil, berries, and green tea into your meals. Support your gut health with fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut, and aim for 7 to 8 hours of good sleep every night. It's also essential to monitor your inflammation levels through simple blood tests like high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, HSCRP. Research has shown that those with lower levels of HSCRP, below 1.0 milligrams per ml, tend to have lower inflammation and greater muscle preservation compared to the average older adult, who may have levels that are 3 to 5 times higher. Habit 5. Nutrients. Why magnesium, B12, zinc, selenium, and creatine matter more with age. Magnesium, B12, zinc, selenium, and creatine are not just important, they're essential. These nutrients play specific roles in muscle function, energy production, and overall health, and their impact becomes even more significant as we get older. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including muscle contraction, nerve function, and energy production. As we age, magnesium levels naturally decline, which can lead to muscle cramps, fatigue, and even bone weakness. Supplementing with magnesium can help improve muscle function and promote relaxation. Vitamin B12 is crucial for the production of red blood cells and maintaining a healthy nervous system. As we age, the body's ability to absorb B12 decreases, leading to fatigue, weakness, and memory issues. Low B12 levels have also been linked to muscle wasting, making it even more important to get enough of this vital nutrient. Zinc is essential for immune function and protein synthesis, and it plays a significant role in muscle repair. Older adults are more likely to have low zinc levels, which can affect muscle recovery and slow down the body's ability to maintain muscle mass. Selenium is a powerful antioxidant that helps protect muscle cells from oxidative damage. As we age, selenium levels can drop, increasing the risk of muscle degeneration. Maintaining healthy selenium levels is vital for muscle preservation and immune health. Finally, creatine is often associated with athletes, but its benefits extend far beyond the gym. Creatine helps with energy production in muscles and has been shown to improve muscle strength and cognitive function in older adults. Supplementing with creatine can help maintain muscle mass and boost energy levels. Dr. Thompson, a renowned longevity expert, often advises his patients, especially those over 60, to pay closer attention to these nutrients. He believes they are the key to maintaining independence and vitality as we age. The body requires more support in the later years, especially for muscle health. When these nutrients are balanced, your body functions better, both physically and mentally, Dr. Thompson explains. Now, let's look at the story of Rosa, a 74-year-old grandmother from Arizona, who took these nutrients seriously and saw a remarkable transformation. Rosa had been struggling with muscle weakness and chronic fatigue for years, relying on her children for daily tasks like grocery shopping and cleaning. It was only when a doctor recommended she add magnesium, B12, zinc, and creatine to her diet that she decided to make a change. She started by adding magnesium-rich foods like spinach and almonds to her meals and took a B12 supplement daily. Rosa also included zinc-rich foods such as pumpkin seeds and selenium-rich foods like Brazil nuts. For an extra boost, she started taking creatine in the form of a supplement, as recommended by her doctor. 3 months later, Rosa's energy levels skyrocketed. She could do her own grocery shopping, clean the house, and even garden without feeling exhausted. Her muscle strength improved, and she felt more mentally sharp than she had in years. What amazed her the most was how these small changes in her nutrition gave her the independence she had lost and the confidence to live life fully. So how can you benefit from these vital nutrients? Start by incorporating magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, nuts, and seeds into your diet. Get enough B12 by eating fortified cereals, eggs, and dairy, or consider supplementation if needed. Add zinc-rich foods like meat, shellfish, and legumes, and include selenium-rich foods like Brazil nuts or tuna. Don't forget creatine, which can be taken as a supplement or found in animal products like red meat and fish. Conclusion: aging doesn't mean slowing down. It means embracing the right habits to sustain your health, vitality, and independence. By focusing on key factors like timing your protein intake, ensuring optimal vitamin D levels, incorporating anti-inflammatory foods, and prioritizing essential nutrients such as magnesium, B12, and creatine, you can keep your muscles strong, your energy high, and your body recovering like never before. These simple yet powerful habits are the stepping stones to reclaiming control over your health and happiness. It's not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about starting with small, consistent actions today that will pave the way for a future filled with strength, vitality, and independence. No matter your age, you have the power to shape your future. Begin with one small habit, and as you progress, add more to your routine. The choices you make today will define the life you lead tomorrow, one that's full of energy, resilience, and the freedom to live independently. So, what are you waiting for? Start today, and let's take this journey of empowerment together. Share with us which habit you're excited to start with, and don't forget to let us know if you know any inspiring individuals in their 70s or 80s who are defying aging. We'd love to hear your stories in the comments. Thank you for joining us. And remember, every step you take today is a step toward a healthier, stronger you.